All right, welcome to the Hearts of Iron 4 podcast. Today we have a special guest. Please welcome to the podcast, Taureor. Taureor, how are you doing tonight?
Hello. I just put my son to bed, and now it's time for some internet stuff.
Well, perfect.
Or
We're just looking at they had announced a LAN party for Hearts of Iron 4 in, I'm going to butcher this name, Katowice?
sorry.
No idea how to
Trocha.
pronounce European
Trocha
names.
Castle.
Sorry.
That would be pronounced Trocha
Wow.
Castle. Zamek Trocha, if you prefer.
Wow. You just blew my mind. Trocha? Oh boy.
Trocha. Like, how would you...
Oh,
Okay, that
okay.
doesn't matter.
How do you pronounce the town that it was in? It's Kotwice, I believe. That's what I was trying to pronounce.
Oh, right. Let me just open the... sorry. Let me just open the video, because I am just learning about the LAN party from you right now. Or like 2 minutes ago. The pronunciation for the castle itself would be Zamek Trocha, the Trocha Castle or Troch Castle, and it is in a town called Sucha, which means dry.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
So about the LAN party, I only learned about it from you right now, and I know there have been similar parties for EU4, although I have never attended anything like that. I have attended a Stellaris event, like a specific event for Stellaris, and then I have been invited several times to ParadoxCon, and one of those had a creative event with Hearts of Iron, another had one with U4 when I participated, but I don't really perform well in such circumstances.
Did they have you up on a panel or were they having you play multiplayer?
Multiplayer. The first one was Hearts of Iron 4 with a couple other people. Who did we have? I think we had Flore and Quill on our team. That was many years ago. And didn't really do very well. We were playing multiplayer 5 versus 5, I think, Axis versus Comintern. I was the Soviet Union. Another time... Well, I did actually participate in some more events, but they were not, like location events, more like over the internet ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good in multiplayer. I do have my specialties, and fighting and combat is not one of them. Planning and scheming is. So there was an event where we played, I don't remember, I think it was 4 or 5 people against the devs. And that went really well for us and really badly for the devs. But that was not on location, just through the internet.
That must have been back in the days. Who was that? He'd always stream. Who's the blonde-haired guy? A blonde-haired Swedish guy. That's like all of them.
Swedish, do you mean Daniel?
Daniel, yeah, that guy was on. I watch him play all the time.
And with the 9. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable about the game, kind of like Flory for EU4. Although there's a lot of people like that now.
So you just rolled him up, huh? The devs were not no
Well,
match for Taureor.
That was no, that it wasn't like that. It was 2 years ago, but had Feedback, Prussian Prince, and Mordred Viking. Yeah. Okay, so it was 4 of us. Feedback, Mordred, and the Prussian Prince against the devs, and we won, but I think that was because we actually delegated stuff really well. Like, I was the spies and diplomacy, Mordred, of course, handled the navy, the Prussian Prince handled the armies mostly, and Feedback, I think he did economy and helped whoever needed help, something like that. And it was playing the same country. So we were, handling the aspects of the same country, kind of to showcase that mechanic, and having clear designated stuff for each person to do actually worked really, really well.
No one cross-microed.
Well, there was that one time where I rearranged the production to be infantry equipment only because we were missing that, but probably shouldn't have done that.
Well, that's good. Typically in multiplayer games, a lot of people don't even want co-ops because of the cross micro. You'll be sitting there like on Barb, like microing tanks, and the tank goes the other direction. You're like, no, no, take your hand off the tank. Don't touch the tank.
Do you play a lot of multiplayer?
I used to. I was playing last year, probably, I don't know, like 30 or 40 Fridays or weekends rather. Whenever we could, it was just
Oh, really?
I was staying up till like 2, 3 a.m. It was brutal, dude. And how about yourself with your son? How did that change your kind of how you're running your channel?
That's an interesting question. I haven't actually thought about it much because the change has been first it was very abrupt and then gradually. But he's 4 years old now, so it's been a long time. It has changed in a way that I can't kind of binge work, like spend 3 days almost in entirety just working on a video and then take a break. I have to do very small sessions of work to get this all together, which is why, for example, now I've been working on one video for about a week now, just putting in a couple hours here and there whenever I can. So it is a big change, but it might be a healthy change because I'm not glued to the screen for very extended periods of time and spending time with my family more, which is good for resetting the brain and approaching a problem again.
Yeah, I do find that if I play for a couple hours and go to sleep, when I wake up I think of a new strategy. So yeah, taking it in small bites. Whereas if I do like a 6 hour, 8 hour session, sometimes I get like taken off like a side path and then I spent 4 hours doing the wrong thing or something. Have to redo everything. Does that happen to you at all?
If I am recording for too long, I will sometimes start talking about some random stuff that doesn't interest anybody, and then I either have a very, very long video that people fall asleep to, or I just have to do a lot of cutting. And sometimes, well, if I just get too tired, then the common mistake is, for example, taking a break, then returning to start recording again and forgetting to hit record and just talking to nobody for half an hour and then having to restart the Iron Man game to record from the beginning because it did not record.
Oh god, yeah.
So yeah, smaller bits are better for that.
That's happened to me a bunch of times. I'm with you, brother. Yeah, so on that
How long
front,
have you been? Oh, okay.
I've been doing Hearts of Iron 4 for like 4 years now. Playing the game for five. I've been YouTubing for 4 years, I think. Was that what you were going to ask?
Yes, I was going to ask how long you have been doing this. And what's your experience in general? How are you liking the work?
Um, it's fairly interesting. I have a background where, like my mom was a graphics artist. So, like when I was a kid, I was using Photoshop all the time, and I really enjoy crafting thumbnails. And I was in like journalism when I was like in high school, which doesn't sound that impactful, but um, yeah, I'm just getting into editing. I used to just be like, I'm still unscripted, but I'll edit my videos. And I'm starting to learn new and more interesting like editing skills. Um, and my content isn't like yours or means. I feel like your content is more, let's play, very narrow, whereas I'll go off topic and I see you play EU as well as CK and other Paradox games as well, but I'll go off and play like a game that is not even a Paradox game. Uh, and I feel like to my own channel's detriment, unfortunately. What's your experience in terms of the YouTube? It looks like you've been doing it for like 7 years, huh?
I don't actually remember when I first started, but it was, wait a minute. Yeah, something like that. 4 years, then about two. Yeah, seven seems about right. You probably checked, so that would make sense. Yeah, I actually started when I was. All right, let me tell you a story about how I started the YouTube channel. I was writing my master's thesis in university, and I really, really didn't want to be writing my master's thesis in university, so I quite often procrastinated and watched quite a lot of Let's Plays on YouTube. Two YouTubers in particular. One was Gopher. He does mostly Skyrim and Fallout and various RPG games. I like his style, is very calm and relaxing. And the other YouTuber I watched was Arumba, or Arumba, I'm not sure what, hard R or soft R. He was doing, I'm not sure if he does that anymore, but he was doing a lot of EU4 at the time. Hearts of Iron wasn't even out. So I was watching him and thought, hey, I could do that. And then I, got a mic and started very slowly. And of course, if someone watches my very old videos, it's a different style. I'm not so sure of my voice, and there's no editing. It's just let's play with all the now what should we do now and so on, and it's just cut up, not cut down to like my current videos where I cut out all the silence and some of the boring stuff. It's just cut into chunks. And then I had some moderate growth, nothing too fancy. But when Hearts of Iron came out, I decided to make a bit of a splash or something. Got it before it was out, and I did the first ever world conquest on YouTube, because I was just binge working since I got the game, like 10 to 12 hours a day, just working, and that got me a bit of traction. And then I copied Alex the Rambler and started doing challenges. So just condensing an entire campaign to a shorter Hearts of Iron 4 video, and that's kind of where it went, and that's really about it. Kind of went off on a tangent. What was your question?
No. You answered it perfectly. It was just, what's your experience with content creation? So that was great. A few thoughts.
Oh, right, different games, yeah.
You're
Let me
like
just
the
elaborate on the different games.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What other games do you play?
Well, on the channel, I usually just do part of those games, mostly just Hearts of Iron 4. Sometimes I have a strong urge to go back to EU4. But my experience has been that anything that's not Hearts of Iron will get significantly less viewership, so naturally I just stick to Hearts of Iron. Sometimes I might get a deal or a very strong urge for something else. Like, for example, recently Age of Wonders 4 came out, so I did a sponsored video on that. But the game was very good too. It's really, really nice. So the viewership wasn't there, so I only made this one video. If people were more interested in that game, then sure, I would continue. But my viewers want what they want, and they want Hearts of Iron.
And is there ever a time where the viewers have asked you? I'm sure there's been plenty of times, but any time that stands out in your mind when they've overwhelmingly been asking you to do something and you just didn't do it, or couldn't bring yourself to do it?
Only a couple of times. Like right now, my channel hasn't been doing very well lately. I went down from like 1 million views a month to a quarter of that. So to combat that, I started doing not really requests, but kind of like a vote system in the comments, where I'll do something people really want me to do. And someone had the brilliant idea of suggesting Anarchist Spain world conquest. So
Oh,
I have been torturing myself with this for the last week, with testing and so on. And it's really terrible, but I'm actually gonna do it when I find the way to do it properly. And however, what I couldn't bring myself to do, there were a few times where I refused to do a video with something that I thought would get me demonetized, like I don't know, Afghanistan conquers the United States and stuff like that, because I just didn't want to jeopardize the channel in any way. I don't think it would get me demonetized nowadays, but a few years back I feared that, and I don't want to do modern day mods, any of those, because that just it doesn't feel right. See, I am Polish. I live in Poland. We're very close to Ukraine. We're very close to Russia. I actually have like a few canisters of diesel well, stocked just in case, you know, just in case. I don't live in fear, but if you take into account Polish history, I really don't want to experience, even in the game, scenarios including war in in a setting that resembles the current world. I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
No, you're making perfect sense. I saw like Bo was playing ICBM the other day, and the creators of ICBM had reached out to me, and I downloaded the game, but it's all about nuking people, and I wanted nothing to do with it. So I'm completely with you. I'm like, I can't play this game where I'm just like nuking people.
Yeah, if it's World War II, it's sufficiently historically removed for me to play this. Even
Yeah.
something like, I don't know, 1960s would be fine, but anything modern day, I just don't. I know I wouldn't enjoy it, and if I don't enjoy it even a little bit, then the video would be crap anyway.
Maybe it's because like you lose that immersion from like a role playing aspect because it's too close to like what potentially could happen modern day.
Kind of, yeah, and for a lot of my viewers are American, for example, so I don't think. Let me just talk to like directly to like Americans that watch me, and for many of you, the threat of a country invading your country is probably not a real threat. For me, it just might be. So it just doesn't feel right, experiencing that scenario. It's, yeah, some will say that it's just a game, and yes, I agree, it's just a game, but you can choose which games you play, and I choose not to experience those modern day mods.
Yeah, Poland shares a border with Ukraine, and there's a missile that
And
came
with Russia
over.
too.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I heard about the story, but I didn't actually get into it too much, so I don't want to speculate. But yeah, we have Ukrainian refugees even where I live. Not in my house, but in the town that I live in. Um, I have spoken to Ukrainian refugees. We see them here, and well, we know what the political situation is, and that's why Poland has such a big army now. So it just doesn't, it doesn't feel okay playing a game with something so serious. Like, I don't like slasher movies. I don't like realistic simulations of violence. It doesn't make me queasy or anything. I just don't like that. And the same extends to even simulations of wars in our current world.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Do you do YouTube full time?
Yes, I actually used to do YouTube and a day job at the same time, but it was a remote job, so I could juggle this. But when YouTube started, picking up, then I just resigned from my old job. I can get back to it if the viewership continues to decline, but I'm taking steps to counter that, so I don't think I'll be going back to a regular day job. Although it wasn't anything bad. I actually enjoyed it, but I enjoyed building a channel more.
I'm with you too. I would choose YouTube over a 9 to 5 any day of the week. So Bitter is going to actually transition out of. He announced it on this podcast. He's going to transition out of his job and perhaps do YouTube full time. Do you have any advice for him?
I'm not sure he needs advice. He's doing much better than me in terms of the channel, so I know what the financials of the channels are, and at the rate he's doing, my only advice, although I don't think he needs to take advice from me, but my only advice would be just to watch out for burnout, because it's a real thing that uh, it's really easy to get pulled into, and I have struggled with it myself.
Did I saw a
Other
few
than that, he's doing great. Go on, go on.
No, yeah, I agree. I love his stuff. I love your stuff. You're like
Thank you.
I had no idea that you started from game launch. You started posting videos like the first day that Hearts of Iron 4 was out. That's incredible. um but
Yeah, I mean, I played House of Iron 2 before that, so I was interested in the concept. I never could get into Hearts of Iron 3. I'm not sure if it was the units or the lack of the little people fighting on the map or whatever. Just Hearts of Iron 3 never did it for me. So it was 2 and then straight to 4.
did anyone in the Paradox Con, was anyone able to identify you just by sight or
I mean, the creators and such, yeah, we kind of know each other, many of us, and recognize each other by voice and stuff like that. Sometimes when we meet on ParadoxCon, God, I talk like it's a regular occurrence. No, it was more like, oh, you're this person. Yeah, you're this person. Yeah, I like your stuff. I like your stuff too, and so on. And you can, when you put the face to the voice, sometimes it's a really interesting experience if especially if they don't show their face. I have two stories about that. One was at the Paradox Con in Germany, in Berlin. Was it in Berlin? I think it was in Berlin. A couple of years back. I think it was, what, 3 years or four? Something like that. My son was very little then. That's all I remember. And we were having dinner, all the creators with some devs were having dinner out on the town. We went out of the building and just to get some air. We were talking together with a group of us. Suddenly, someone came up to us and, I'm sorry, are you Alex the Rambler? Because he was with us. And he recognized him, started talking to him about how he likes his channel and all that. And it was very nice. I think Alex enjoyed that. I think so. But he's very recognizable, right? He shows his face all the time.
yeah.
And the guy who came up to him, of course, recognized Alex. He did not realize that it was a whole bunch of, like, the entire Paradox YouTube creator scene. Well, half was there. There was Spiffing Brit was there. Who was a couple more guys. It was, on the one hand, it was quite endearing that Alex was so recognizable and elicited such a nice reaction. And on the other hand, it was no, not on the other hand. In addition to that, sorry, I'm really tired today.
Oh, it's okay.
Just and it was surprising that even someone as big as Yogscast people that were there and Spiffing Brit and so on can remain anonymous even in such such a sphere, because the guy was a fan of Alex, and I think he talked about being a fan of the game in general and so on. However, if you're not showing your face, you can remain anonymous. And I'm quite enjoying that. I mean, I'm not as big as Alex, I wouldn't be as recognizable, but I enjoy the fact that I can remain anonymous, which is why I don't really show that. But a second story, contrary to that one, last year, ParadoxCon in Stockholm, Sweden. Outside the venue, there was a group of, I think, 3 teenagers, local, who were just, they couldn't afford tickets to ParadoxCon, so they were just hanging around the area. And they recognized me by voice and wanted, uh, which was very surprising to me. I was just speaking to someone outside the venue, and suddenly those people came up, and it turned out that they could recognize my voice from a conversation on the street. Very surprising. They were very nice about it, very pleasant, and actually it made my day. But I never thought that was possible.
Were you speaking
Just from
English?
Yes, of course. Everybody, because this was a multinational group of people, so everybody was communicating in English.
So you warned Bitter about the burnout. How do you personally deal with burnout?
Actually, I didn't deal with burnout properly, which is why I just stopped. I think it started maybe around a year ago. I just stopped enjoying making the videos. I just slugged along, and after a longer period of being burnt out, I think I finally managed to kind of pick myself up from that by doing two things. One was just trying out different content, like starting doing mods and stuff like that, which didn't really get a lot of viewership, but rekindled my interest in the game. And the second stuff was actually had nothing to do with Hearts of Iron. I started doing more physical activities. It's no secret to those who know me that I am rather fat, and I don't want to be. So a few months back, I started working on it, and the extra endorphins from regular physical activity, like going to the gym, riding the bike, going on a treadmill, stuff like that, just basic stuff. And the endorphins from that actually help me with other parts of life, which is helping quite a lot.
Dude,
I've never been a very sorry, go on.
like everything really, like the mental clarity is like, have you noticed more mental clarity?
Mental clarity, not necessarily, because when I'm extra tired, like after a gym session, my mind is tired as well. Like I have a hard time talking to people uh, in that state. But maybe not mental clarity, but more endurance, not just physical endurance, but mental endurance. So, and also, it has had an amazing effect on my immune system. I only started this by the end of last year, and already I used to get sick all the time. And after just this much, 6 months? Yeah, 6 months of regular training, nothing too fancy, nothing too good, and I'm still fat, I'm sad to say, but working on it. But just these 6 months have really boosted my immune system, so I don't feel sick that often, and that also helps tremendously with just being happy.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of fitness podcasts. I just listened to one with Rhonda Patrick. She's a big fitness researcher, and I think the guy's name is Atia. But they're talking about how it actually doesn't matter. So, like your weight, whatever that may be, the thing that defined longevity and positive outcomes was simply working out. And all cause mortality, there was a 5x difference whether you worked out or not. I forget what the specific criteria was. I think it was 3 times a week, like 30 minutes of cardiovascular workout. And you could imagine, like, if you're not working out, your mortality would be higher. But if you are, so they're talking about the delta between not working out and working out is 5 times. You're 5 times less likely to die. So I got to hand it to you. And I got to tell you something, like, my members only content is a lot of it's now like workout based. It's funny that you're telling me that you're working out, because I am overweight too. I know it doesn't look like it from like up here, but I use my members' videos. So my members already know that I'm talking to you, but they're the only ones that know. And all my videos are in an ice tub. I ice a trough, a
Oh,
cattle trough, and I do my videos in the cattle trough.
does it hurt a lot or just a bit?
When you first start doing it, it hurts a
Getting into
lot.
the yeah, I see. I'm I love comfort. I cannot. It was very hard to make myself start working out, and now I'm working to do it every day. Just a little bit, not like going to the gym for 3 hours every day. No, just a little bit, like half an hour of bicycle, stuff like that. So I'm trying to teach myself to do physical activity every day because I started going to. Right, first I started going to the gym like every 4 days. Then I started narrowing it down to maybe like every 3 days. And now I've moved to doing physical activity every day, but it's, just light activity. Like I said, half an hour on the bicycle, half an hour on the treadmill, stuff like that. Just to make sure I teach myself that I have to do it. I don't know, I'm still experimenting. Maybe it will have a good outcome, but it already has had an impact on my immune system, and that feels great. As for the ice bath, I don't think I could do that. I, that's like higher level stuff. Maybe someday.
Well, I was a college athlete. I actually did swimming, water polo, and diving. So I did three college sports, not all at the same time. Um, and now I surf a lot. That's my activity. So I do have a leg up in that regard. But I did install the ice bath. It costs $150 in Amazon. You just fill it up with water and let the ambient temperature cool it down. I add some ice bottles to it to get the temperature down a little bit. And then I installed a sauna as well. The sauna was quite expensive, though. It was about $4,000 US. Do you do any sauna?
That's a complicated question. I used to do it from time to time, but I don't really have. Okay, in Poland, the only way to, I don't know about other countries, but here the only way to actually get to a sauna is either they have them at pools, like swimming pools, or sometimes, like I'm from a rural area originally, and there's a river. There's a small river there, and some people have saunas next to the river, so you could rent that. But it's more like not something you can do every day. And I have always been having problems with my sinuses. So a sauna makes me feel great overall, with the exception of my sinuses, which just clog up completely. Sorry, too graphic. Let's just replace that with which stop working properly. So I can't really do sauna even though I want to. As for ice baths, that's just I can bring myself to do something as unpleasant.
So they say I don't know if this correlated, but I used to have really bad allergies, and just working out this year, I don't seem to have as many. But you say that the sauna gives you kind of an allergic reaction. It's actually because the heat activates histamine inside of your body. That's what I would think that it is, because I had to look into that because I had some problems with that as well.
I can't really say anything to that because I don't have the knowledge and don't want to speculate. But but the effects are mixed, let's just say. But if I had more land, I live in a house, but it's a small house on a very small plot of land. If I had more land, I might put up a sauna. But I will not at our current situation. Right.
They
I
have
wanted to say something
saunas.
else about that, but I don't remember.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
maybe you could think about it. While I tell you, in California where I live, the they might not have saunas in every gym, but they at least have a steam room. Just quite interesting.
Oh, yeah, the gym I go to does have one, but you have to tell them in advance to start it up, and you have to pay extra and so on. So I never really bother.
Yeah, that would be annoying having to plan all that out. No, I'm with you there for
Yeah,
sure.
if you go to a swimming pool, they have them operating. Well, not all swimming pools, but some swimming pools have them operating, like all the time. Then yeah, sure, and you're already, let's just say, dressed appropriately. But at the gyms, well, yeah, some gyms have it. The one I frequent does not. It's not, or sorry, it does not have it easily accessible. So not.
Yeah, I
No.
tried. I tried challenging bitter to a workout contest online, like we do videos going back and forth. He's like, "That's not my bacon," and like, you know what he does. So I'm assuming he is in pretty good shape.
I wouldn't want to suggest or speculate or give any information indicating what it might be,
Yeah.
uh, because I'm not supposed to. But I have met him, and I have met him personally. I have seen the person, and he's in good shape.
As I would imagine. So I was watching some of your videos like a long time ago. I went all the way back. I know you've been on YouTube for 7 years. I scrolled to your last video, um, and I found some of the videos where you do a face reveal, and you were talking about that you do Dungeons and Dragons. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, that was a long time ago. Um,
Before
yeah,
kids.
I don't hide my face reveal. Yeah, I've shown my face on a couple of videos. It's not like I want to, remain completely anonymous. It's just I don't feel any reason to show my face on my videos. People want to see the game mostly and not me, I think. Um, Maybe when I get super buff, that will change. Joking, sorry. Um, about Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, I started running RPG games when what was the age? I think something like 14, 15 years old, something like that. But it was always a very sporadic adventure, and I was what's the expression? Forever DM, right? The one who always runs the games. And a couple of years back, when I was already doing YouTube, actually had a small resurgence with a couple of friends, and we did run it for a bit. However, if you are all adults with families and jobs, it doesn't really work out unless you like live next to each other.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do more, not just Dungeons and Dragons. My first tabletop RPG system was actually a Polish one called Wiedźmin Gra Wyobraźni, which would translate to The Witcher Game of Imagination, which is, of course, made based on The Witcher books. It was before the computer game, before the even the original film, I think.
Dude, that is hilarious. I was going to ask you, like, I don't know, it sounds cliche, but like, you're in Poland. Have you met the author of The Witcher? Did you read The Witcher? It sounds like you're familiar with that
Uh,
content.
I have not met Andrzej Sapkowski, the author of the Witcher books. If I went to like conventions, then I probably would have met him, but I have not. However, I have read all the books before, well, a long time ago, and I've seen the film and the series that were actually made in Poland as the first. What's the word for bringing a book to the screen? I'm missing that word.
With Henry Carville?
Adaptation? No, before
Adaptation?
that.
Oh, it was before that. Okay.
Yeah, there was another one before that. It was Polish and it was absolutely terrible. Uh, Actually, they made a TV series, like a full-length TV series, which was terrible. Some actors were good, but in general, yeah, very, very bad. It's of the so bad it's funny sometimes. So if there are any fans of the Witcher franchise who are not aware of the Polish series, you might want to watch that with some subtitles or something. I think it's all available on YouTube. And so they made an entire series, and then they cut bits out and stitched them into a movie, and they released that movie in theaters. And it was just cut up bits of the TV series. I actually went to not to the premiere, but around the time when it was released in cinemas, and it was laughably bad, with a few exceptions. Like the guy who played Geralt actually did a good job in my opinion. but it was more funny than good.
How did you
And I don't
like
know, are
the
you?
How did you like the recent series? I think it's Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know. How familiar with The Witcher are you? Have you read the books? Have you played the games?
I just watched that Netflix series. That's it.
Ah, okay. Well, the game actually is better than the Netflix series. I watched the first season of the Netflix series, and it's very Netflixy. And I've heard that it only gets more, let's be diplomatic, more Netflixy afterwards.
Hollywood.
So, kind of, I don't want to piss anyone off, but it's just they care more about themselves than the story, the creators of the series. And Henry Cavill did a great job, sure.
Yeah.
But the episodes were not well constructed, in my opinion. And in general, it could have used more work.
No,
And it was.
I've heard many people say the same thing. So don't feel bad.
Mm. And it's very Netflixy. Like, there are no redheads in Hollywood, you know. Where was I? Right, not in Hollywood, like in Netflix movies and such. Uh, didn't like the casting choices for some people, but some were good. I liked Geralt, I liked Jaskier, and it was an interesting choice that they actually called him Jaskier, which is a Polish name for a flower in the series, while in the games it was translated to. Okay, let's not get too bogged down on The Witcher. It's a House of Iron thing, not a Witcher thing. Um, However, after watching the first series of The Witcher, I was not that impressed and decided to just not keep watching. Same thing with The Force Awakens with Star Wars. Like, I watched The Force Awakens and thought, yeah, not for me. I'm not going to continue. And I just didn't watch the following movies. Even though I actually was into Star Wars as a kid quite a lot. Even had like 20 or 30 books from the what's now called Extended Universe. But yeah, I don't feel the need to cling to a franchise that is no longer what I enjoyed about it.
Well,
So, sure.
I guess the I didn't read the book, so just seeing it myself, like I think without Henry Carville, I don't think I'd watch any more of it. So if they come out with, I don't know, there might be another series right now. I have no idea, but I heard he like broke his leg or something, and he's not doing it anymore. So yeah, I'm.
Uh, Actually, I think he left over creative disagreements or whatever. So because, well, translation, the showrunners didn't care about the source material, and he did. So that's the story I heard. But it's all read on the internet, so you'd have to ask Henry Cavill himself. If you are interested in The Witcher at all, I would recommend the games. And if you're enjoying the games, if you enjoy the games, then you might want to move to books. But the game, actually, Witcher 3 is a brilliant gem of a game. And it's Witcher 3, so yeah, I've actually played Witcher 1 and 2, but 3 is great. It's the best, probably.
Dude, I'll
So
check that out.
if you want, I mean, you don't have to. Like, it's an RPG and not like a free create your own character RPG like Skyrim. It's more like you play this particular character and he is what he is. But it's a really, really well made game, and it looks better and plays better than a lot of stuff that's made nowadays. And it's what, 8 years old now, something like that. So if someone wants to get into The Witcher and wants an easy in, I would recommend The Witcher 3, and if that is something you enjoy, then maybe the books or the earlier games.
Dude, great recommendation, and that's so badass that you played a RP like a role playing tabletop game based on The Witcher 2. Uh,
No, actually, it was based on the books. It was before the games came
oh
out.
no, I'm sorry.
Like,
I meant The
actually
Witcher
have
2, TOO, not 2 as in the number. It was also based
okay,
on The
just
Witcher.
actually have the just give me like 20 seconds. I have the book on the shelf here.
Yeah, go ahead.
when that was made. It came out around the same time the Polish adaptation of the Witcher books came out. So, okay, I have the book here now. Copyright 2001.
I don't
So
know.
it's pretty old now, but it was quite interesting.
I might jump into the books, man.
If you enjoy them, I don't know, what sort of literature do you enjoy?
I read all the Game of Thrones novels. I've read The Hobbit 5 times. I've read The Lord of the Rings like 2 times through. RPG stuff. Yeah.
So you enjoy fantasy or fantasy and science fiction?
I would say fantasy, not so much science fiction, although I have read a book or two that's science fiction, and it was quite intriguing as well. I don't think that I could read Star Wars, for instance. I don't think that would be my deal.
Oh, it was actually quite pleasant. I actually started reading Star Wars when I was, into the old movies. But they're quite well written. But if you're not, oh, do you know Brandon Sanderson?
I don't.
Oh, he's one of my favorite fantasy authors. I think he's American. Is he? Oh, he's a Mormon. Yeah, he must be American. Yeah, Brandon Sanderson, very very good fantasy author. Uh, and yeah, Tolkien is well, don't really need to say anything about him. As for the Game of Thrones, I did read that too, although kind of became less interested with the further books. The further it went, the less I enjoyed the franchise. And but yeah, the first book was kind of mind-blowing in a way that I haven't actually seen before, bringing political intrigue into a fantasy world. So that was a very
Yeah.
very interesting experience.
So
Mm,
I'm assuming going back to the D&D, you don't play anymore, right?
no, but it's mostly I don't have time to play and I don't have people to play with. I could organize the people, but it would have to be like a session every month or something like that. And um, all my friends kind of live far apart now, so getting everyone in the same place and playing over the internet is just not the same.
Yeah.
So the last time I played was probably something like 5 years ago,
Well,
5 or 6, something like that.
I still actually play probably about every other week. I'm in my friend's game,
Ooh,
and it's all based on the Feywild. Uh, but yeah, I started playing after I was a grown up, basically, and I had a group of friends that like to play. Probably about like 5 years ago was when I started, and a lot of
which system are you playing?
just straight up D&D, and this module is the Feywild. I forget what the module's called. I actually ran.
I never really played any modules.
Well, this one's a new module. Okay, so you created your own thing, your own worlds, huh?
Well, yes, although it might not have been the best choice always, because my first ever game was with a small adventure that was provided with the handbook, and it went really well. And then I started creating my own, and some of them went really well, the others not so much, depending on, you know, you know how it is. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes I just didn't prepare enough, and other times I went too far in some situations. Like I think I traumatized one of my friends with how the Fae were torturing some people. Yeah, I hate the Fae. Right. So
The Drow
so
or
you're just playing.
the
No,
Fey?
the Fae. I was like basing it off some legends of the like the bad Fae.
I hate the
The ones
Fey
that
as
kill the
well.
children and stuff.
I'm completely with you, and they do weird stuff to children. I agree. uh,
Right. So you're playing what, fifth edition?
yeah, and I've actually ran
Right.
the Curse of Strahd, And dude, you could play that one.
Heard about it.
It's just a
Also like
vampire
vampires and
story.
stuff, right?
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I was asking if it was a vampire story.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually played several systems, but only, a bit of each. I didn't have enough time playing each of them because of various reasons. One of them being that I always had to be the one who ran the game. I've played the Polish RPG based on The Witcher. That was a long time ago. Then Dungeons and Dragons Third Edition, the one that all the old games are based on, like Neverwinter Nights. And then I've had a short game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and Vampire the Masquerade. And then it was D&D 5th edition, and that's where it stopped. I do not think I will be playing or running tabletop RPGs until my son goes to school and rounds up a couple of his friends and comes to our house to play. I can run a game for kids. I'm not always traumatizing.
Yeah. And there's definitely like you could definitely tailor it for kids fairly easily and make it fun. So you have quite a bit of background in gaming and strategy games. And I posed this question to Bitter, but basically, do you feel that you've gleaned any real life information from the strategies that you spend so much time on your channel? And like, is there anything that is applicable to real life?
No, no, really. Seriously, I learned a lot of geography from these games. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and history from EU4. EU4 is actually it has not. Some people don't know this, but EU4 actually has multiple start dates and has all the countries programmed as how their borders change over the years. So you can just pick, for example, 1652 and see how the borders are. I actually spent some time just looking at how the maps change, and my visual memory is pretty bad. I have very good audio memory. I'm not sure if I'm using the correct terms in English because I'm kind of like translating it from Polish. But I remember sounds well. I can remember like the lyrics to a song quite quickly, but my visual memory is pretty bad. So it's very difficult for me to learn like other alphabets. Like the Cyrillic alphabet was very difficult to learn when I was dabbling in learning Russian a while ago. And so actually experiencing the geography in the games was a way that I could learn where like certain cities are in the world and the borders of countries and that. That's the most applicable to real life thing I can think of. And history and geography, and that's really about it because the strategies and I mean, sure, you can learn about tanks and planes and all that if you're interested, but that was never something I really cared about that much. So yeah, and strategies, I don't think I can use my strategies in the real world. I have never been in the army and never wanted to be in any army. And well, maybe if I became a politician someday, but I don't think I can lie well enough.
No, you seem like a very honest person. um, I guess
Something I
what
might regret.
no, I think that you have to have that degree of honesty to get authenticity on YouTube. For instance, I'm a fairly, honest person. I put everything out on the table, not conducive to politics for sure. Or if you're in a job where there's a lot of politics, not conducive for that situation. Which is probably why I like YouTube so much. I can lay it all out there, and then if it's bad, I get told that immediately. If it's good, I get told that immediately, which is why I like YouTube. It's not a single individual's opinion of me that matters. It's the aggregate. And I guess the Bitter said the same thing that you did when I posed that question to him. Have you derived any real life functions from these strategies, these strategy games? And I've been intrigued with this question, and I've been reading the Book of the Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, and he was actually a
I
samurai.
know who he is. I have not read. Yeah, yeah, I know the person. I have not read the book. He was very, yeah. One thing I remember about him that he was very underhanded.
Um, he's I've only read the
Yeah,
book.
you know oh, yeah. Remember there was a story about what was that? Oh yeah, arriving purposely very late to a duel to enrage his opponent so he would
Yeah.
be careless, stuff like that. So yeah, good advice for someone going to war. Uh, that's about it. Yeah, it's that and another story about another duel. That's all I remember about this person.
Well, he had 62 duels to the death, and obviously he didn't die. And then after the 62nd opponent, he apparently lived in a cave all of his life. But is the Book of the Five Rings is on strategy, and he says from knowing strategy, you basically can extrapolate that onto other things in your life. But so he says specifically, if you know this one thing, talking about strategy, you can know 10,000 things. And I've read the book twice now. It's only like, it's not that long at all. You could read it in a few hours, but that's what I've been studying recently. And the, the only thing that I've like extrapolated from like Hearts of Iron 4 and stuff like that is the sequencing of how like the economy works. And I've tailored like my own personal budget based on Hearts of Iron 4 and strategy games. The fact that you like choose a certain economic law and then you snowball off of that. A lot of that type of thinking has impacted my personal life in how I manage my own finances, and that's I don't know. I like to think of other people's thoughts on that because I I find like your content, for instance, like the anarchist build that you did was incredible and also insane. How did you possibly do that? That was crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
I don't actually remember what I did with the Anarchist. I'm redoing the Anarchists now, but I'm doing it all from scratch, so I don't actually remember what I did. So I'm sorry, I can't really answer this question because that was so long ago that I don't really, remember.
No, I'm the
So
same.
yeah,
And people ask me like, how did you do this? I'm like, I can talk very broadly only. I cannot talk about specifics because that was a year ago or something. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Um, but yeah, the anarchist build. If you come out with that, I'll definitely watch every second of that video. That to me, that was my favorite video of yours. Was the first anarchist Spain build when they came out with that DLC. Um,
it was yeah, just search that. That was I think over 2 years ago. So I don't actually remember anything that I did there. But yeah, I'm working on it again, and I must say it's a pain. The anarchists are one of my least favorite nations to play as for multiple reasons.
yeah.
I can list them if you want, but there's a lot.
Oh,
Should I?
I tried to replicate your build, but yeah, please.
Right, so the worst thing about the anarchists is that they can't join factions for some reason, and everybody hates you, so you can't get military access, which of course disables my favorite exploit that people already hate, many of them, which I called Order 66, where you just have your troops in another country and then instantly capitulate them. It still works, you just have to work for it a bit more. But I stopped using it because a lot of people say it's cheating and it's too easy. So I just stopped. I can play differently sometimes. But so that's one thing you can't do. Factions. You can't join a faction. You can't get military access. So say you want to fight the Soviet Union and have Germany between you and them. You can't get into German territory to fight the Soviet Union. You have to go around and all that. That's very annoying. You are locked at 0 stability purposely, or 5 stability. You can put yourself at 5% stability, but only at peace if you pick the right stuff, which actually gives you very little political power and very little efficiency in production. Of course, it is remedied by some of their laws, the economic laws and all that, but you're also locked to closed economy, which disables a research boost, and you can't have puppets or collaboration governments. So it's like, I'm not even sure how to describe that. Sure, there are more difficult countries to play, but I'm not sure if there are more annoying countries to play.
I
And
would
I am
describe
not.
that as staring at the sun and eating glass.
Well, and yeah, and add artillery only. But no, not this time.
Yeah, that meme is gone. So I didn't know that you were. I can't even tell you how many times people in chat have told me go order 66. Like you came up with that?
Yeah, that's mine. I
Holy
came up with that,
mackerel.
and it's my favorite exploit. I called it Order 66, of course, after Star Wars, where you familiar with that?
Yeah.
What Order 66 was in Star Wars? Yeah, right. So if someone listening isn't, it's when the Emperor orders his troopers to kill the Jedi from behind and all that. So kind of planting the enemy, and actually has historical precedent, which is why I don't really think it's that big of a stretch. Like, I don't remember the name of this, but there was a massacre in Scotland where, now, I might be wrong, and someone might want to correct me in the comments, but a Scottish clan welcomed, I think it was either another clan or some English troops, probably the English, with the right of hospitality and all that. And they welcomed them into their, clan homes, and they were slaughtered in the night by these guys. So it's kind of the same. There is historical precedent for that.
Game of
I
Thrones
think it's valid.
style. Isn't that how the Starks
Yes.
died? The
How
Starks
did the
or
Starks die?
it was the
Oh,
Walder
do you mean
Frey
the
or
Red
something.
Wedding? Oh yeah, the Frey,
The Frey,
the Frey
yeah.
Wedding. It's been a while since I read that, and I didn't watch the entire series. It wasn't bad. I just kind of lost interest around season, I don't know, 4 or 5, something around the wedding. I don't remember when it was. So yeah, all the 66 is all mine, and that's something I'm actually proud of. I know a lot of people hate it, but
I mean, dude, everyone is shouting at me in chat usually just to do that and then get it over with. Like, uh, wow, that's amazing that you came up with that. I think my only
I can
contribution.
explain it in detail.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
how do we do it for the viewers or the listeners?
All right, if someone is not familiar with Order 66, it has been patched out partially. It used to be way easier to do it. You have to get military access with your target. Let's just suppose I'm Poland and I want to do Order 66 on Britain. So I need to get military access from Britain. That can be done usually by just fighting the same enemy, or sometimes they'll just give it to you, depends. But if you're fighting the same enemy, they will give you military access quite easily. When you have military access, you station a lot of your troops. They can be cheap troops, they can be very small units. You station a lot of your troops all over their country on garrison orders or whatever. You can do it manually if you want. And then, while still having military access, because if you lose military access, you will, they will all rout and return home. So you can, oh, right, one more thing. If you join a faction, you can still do it if you got military access before joining the faction.
Okay.
and then leave the faction. Whatever. All right. So you need to have military access with the country. In that case, Britain. You station your troops in Britain, and then either they have to attack you, or you attack someone they are allied with, or who they guarantee, but who is not their puppet. So, for example, we justify a war goal on, say, Sweden, and Britain guarantees Sweden. You attack Sweden, Britain joins the war, but you still have military access, so your troops are in their territory. And when they join a war against you, Britain joins a war against you, your troops immediately take possession of the territories they were stationed in, unless there is a different unit there. And even if there are different units, if you station enough units of your own, you can easily surround them, encircle them, and take over the entire country. And immediately get a peace conference after, I think, 2 weeks. If there is someone else fighting them, you will likely get very little war score. So it's not that profitable in that case. So let's say they're fighting Germany and you do Order 66, you capitulate them, and Germany still gets 90-something% of the war score. But if you're the only one fighting them, you can just annex the country.
Do you typically use that strat of doing one war at a time so that there's no one else messing around with your war?
It's not always feasible, but yeah, usually. Like, for example, let's say I'm Poland and I'm in the Allies and they're fighting Germany, but I gave them Danzig, so I'm not fighting Germany. I am instead fighting the Soviet Union. I will not join the war against Germany until I defeat the Soviet Union, just focusing on the one war at a time, usually. That's the most efficient, unless I'm doing it for roleplay reasons. One war at a time, if it can be helped.
What is your favorite doctrine to play?
Sorry, favorite what?
Military doctrine.
Oh, yeah. It used to be Mass Assault, but I think it got nerfed or something because it seems much weaker now.
Yes.
Only use it occasionally. Now I mostly use Superior Firepower, even if I'm not using support companies, because Superior Firepower has a lot of bonuses like all troops get 10% attack and stuff like that. Of course, if I'm on the defensive, like a special, let's say a special playthrough like defensive Poland or defensive Czechoslovakia, I will often go with Grand Battle Plan for the entrenchment, but that's only in those cases. So, there's only one reason really to go with Mass Assault in my opinion, and that's if you need the extra 5% manpower.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been using Grand Battle Plan a lot. However, everything's based on planning bonuses, and I've been, Dankus was on the podcast, and I've been watching Dankus's live streams, and there are situations where if you have two fronts, your planning bonus could be screwed up and negated. So unless you are sequencing your wars one war at a time, I think that you can lose all your planning bonus, if I understand correctly. But yeah, I've been using a lot of Grand Battle Plan recently. My favorite is Mobile Warfare for the tanks and the encirclements, obviously.
Oh, that's completely different from mine. I just don't like the micro. And many people actually hate me for that, for just using pure infantry and not microing and not using tanks. But it works for me, so yeah.
I find though that like the videos, the non-micro videos actually do really well. Like that's wanted in the community.
Well, let's hope it gets my channel up again. Yeah, in Hearts of Iron, there's a lot of focus on combat, and I understand that, but that's not why I played the game. I played for the politics and for the plans. If I could, I would just hand over the control of the military to like a second player or to AI. But if I handed it over to AI, it would probably just kill itself, so not a good choice. However, I just don't like managing troops. I like deciding when to go to war, with whom to go to war, who to ally, what to do with the spies and stuff like that. The combat is just not something I enjoy, and I think that's okay. If you like combat, you do combat. If you don't, you choose something else.
Are you like me and you're the guy that plays Rome Total War and then doesn't go into combat at all? You auto resolve every time?
Actually, that's actually a very not a okay. I have a story with that. I'm not sure. I when I think I was 17 at the time, I got pneumonia and I had to be in the hospital for over a month. I had a laptop with me and it had Rome Total War on it. Well, Rome 1. So I spent a month just playing Rome Total War on the laptop. It was glorious. Well, no, not really. They woke me up early and I got injections and all that. But yeah, I think I played all the factions in that game. And Rome 1, I used to just do weird stuff with archers. Like you would put a group of archers in the middle and phalanx pikemen all around them and just walk around the battlefield and nobody could touch you and just kill them with arrows.
Like in a circle? That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Well, it did work in Rome 1. Now it's more, well, in the newer versions, of course, it will not work. But Phalanx was, especially the super long, like Macedon or Macedonian Phalanx, was just unstoppable if you don't attack it from the side. And if you put them in a circle, they can be attacked from the side. So,
There is no side of a circle. That's awesome, dude. So you did micro that in that game a bit, huh?
yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, Total War was... I miss Total War. I should play Total War. I think there's a new one coming out. Have you heard about that?
I have
Something,
not. Is it what's
something
the
with Egypt.
country? Egypt? Okay.
Something with Egypt. I think it's Pharaoh or something similar. I can just Google. Anyway, there's yeah. So I'm definitely gonna try that. Yeah, Warhammer, the Warhammer Total War is fun and all, but not really. I'm not really that into Warhammer, so not for me.
I like the
I
out
mean,
of
the lore is fun, but
the
go on, please.
I like Rome 2, Total War 2. To me, that's the best Total War game. And then I've played Warhammer, uh, but with minis like tabletop. Have you played that
All right.
Vermintide, or are you talking about the Warhammer Total War? I think is what it's. I forget what it's called. 2030 or something.
Yeah, I meant like the Warhammer version of Total War, but the tabletop is not something I have ever played, and I don't think it is something I will ever play, just because I can't justify such an expense unless I was like 3D printing the bits. I'm sure it's fun. It's just prohibitively expensive, especially in a poorer country like Poland. I mean, we're not like poor, but let's
You don't want to spend
say
all your money
like
on like cigarettes or
toys.
whatever, like toys or no, I get it. Like you have a budget. You're a family man. You're the head of a household here. You can't be spending all your money on toys.
Well, yeah, that exactly. And also, I could theoretically, I just can't mentally justify such an expense to myself. Just feels like something I shouldn't be buying, if you understand what I mean. Uh, if I was like 3D printing the miniatures or just like cutting out bits of my cardboard or something, then I wouldn't have a problem with that. But then that's not proper Warhammer, right? Although I do enjoy the universe and the world building. They have a lot, and I played Mechanicus and Battlefleet Gothic Armada and enjoyed those. Mechanicus has a brilliant sound design.
Are those
I'm not
based
sure.
on
Have you
war?
played
I apologize. I'm
Warhammer
not familiar with
40,000?
it. Oh, it is. So that's a tabletop
Um,
game.
well, Warhammer What? Sorry. So which Warhammer are you playing? The tabletop one?
We're playing Small Unit Tactics. I forget the exact name of it.
But is it like Warhammer 40,000 or the fantasy one?
Um, I wasn't like we'll say the DM, so I was following along, but each team had a different faction, like the Space Marines or something, and then we'd go head to head. But it was
All right.
like,
So the Space Marines. Right. So Space Marines is the 40,000, like the science fiction one. There's also a fantasy one, like the Total War is the fantasy one with magic, and there's the 40K one with like guns and spaceships. But I was never really into that. But there've been a lot of like spin-off games of the franchise. Like Mechanicus is a very good example. It's a tactical game, but it's very atmospheric. If you want to learn about it without playing it, I would recommend a video by Mandalore Gaming. Did a very good review of that. And Battlefield
Mandalore.
Gothic Armada is like a strategy game, not grand strategy, just strategy in space with huge battleships in space. Pretty fun.
That's cool. Okay, Mandalore Gaming. Wow, this guy's got almost 1 million subs. That's
Yeah,
cool.
he's very good. He does more scripted videos, obviously, and heavily edited ones. But I enjoy his stuff.
Do you watch Legend of Total War at all?
Legend of Total War.
He is
Just
he does the
it
fantasy.
rings a bell, but I don't really. Something I must have heard about this person.
Yeah, he plays
Oh,
mostly,
it's
see, the Warhammer fantasy version.
oh no, I actually don't really watch YouTube that much because if I'm on the computer, I'm usually working, and if I'm not on the computer, well, then of course I'm not going to watch YouTube. But and spend time with my son and all that. And if I'm doing stuff like chores, then I would usually put on an audiobook. So don't really have that much time for watching stuff. And I also don't really want to watch, for example, Hearts of Iron after I've spent 4 hours recording Hearts of Iron. There's at some point it's enough.
If you were forced to, whose channel would you watch?
I have a few favorites that I watch from time to time that relax me. Do you mean from like the Hearts of Iron community or overall?
Yeah, just Hearts of Iron specifically.
Hearts of Iron specifically. I enjoy. Actually, right. A few people of Hearts of Iron that I have enjoyed in the past are Feedback
Yeah.
and Stakui. Actually, met both of these people, and who else? Bit of Steel. That's the three I would pick at first, I think. Sorry for not mentioning you, but I haven't actually watched your Let's Play. Sorry.
That's
I will
okay.
after this.
Let me ask you this. This is a vain question. Were you aware of my channel before I asked you onto this podcast?
I have seen a bit of one. Was not aware of the name of the channel or what you do, but I have seen a bit of one video that popped up. It was on, I think it was an interview with Dankus.
Oh, okay, cool. That
So it
popped up
just
for you.
popped up for me, and I clicked that. So that's sorry, being um, honest that I haven't actually watched your stuff beforehand. But yeah, that one did pop up in recommendations, and I don't remember what it was about because you've done several with Dankus, right?
No, it's just clips of the podcast. I make like one podcast and then make clips of it. Um, but that is
Mhm.
very flattering. I didn't expect that you had watched even one video, but you heard it, guys. Taureor had watched my video before I reached out to him. I'll take that win.
It was. I'm trying to find it on your channel. Don't remember which one, but it was something where you were talking to Dankus. Yeah. I've known Dankus for not a very long time, but we have played together. So yeah, that hit my curiosity.
Dude, what context were you guys playing? Like in a
It was one of
multiplayer?
the. We actually played in an event by Paradox. It was teams of players against each other with commentary. I was in a group with, I think it was Dankus and Kawach. Kawach is another Polish YouTuber who also does Hans of Iron. And we absolutely obliterated everybody else because
You
um,
had Dankus on your team.
I am not good at micro and at combat. I am good at laying out evil plans. So I kind of made a plan like I was Bulgaria, Dankus was Germany, and Kawach was the Netherlands. And there were teams, like you can have one major power and two minor powers. It's out there somewhere. And there were several teams. So I laid down the plan like we're gonna attack Yugoslavia day one so that we get into a war with France and all the circumventing restrictions on who you can attack, who you can't attack. So I made this part of plan and then just spammed infantry for garrisons and nothing else. And Dankus and Kawak did all the fighting and conquering. In the end, we've conquered everything, and to keep it going because we actually won before the time limit. Then they had us turn on each other, and of course, Dankus killed me because I had just infantry
Yeah,
and he
he's
had tanks.
Germany. Speaking of the DLC you're talking about, I think EU. Have you been following the new developer diaries about the military industrial organizations that they're going to add to Hearts of Iron 4?
I have not. I don't usually follow dev diaries. I just see what's added when a new patch comes out. But please enlighten me a bit, and then I can give you an impression if you want.
So you're going to be able to create your own like Rheinmetall, for instance, or Mon or whatever.
Okay.
So it takes the way I think it's going to work is it will take the tank, gun, or motorized or air like companies, and then you literally can pick one of those and use Army XP to then add bonuses underneath whatever organization that you're customizing for yourself, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Sounds very powerful. I would just stack all the bonuses on basic infantry equipment because everybody uses basic infantry equipment. And I use only basic infantry equipment often. But yeah, even if you have very advanced armies, they still use it, and those bonuses compound a lot. Like,
Oh, even tanks
oh, one
use
thing I.
it, tank divisions use it.
Mhm.
Everyone. Absolutely. Did you
And
sorry,
mhm,
go ahead.
I can continue this a bit. One reason why I can actually be successful with just using pure infantry is that you don't need a lot of research for it. And what I do is, it seems like a kind of like a change of topic, but I'm going to circle back to this. Um, what you can do if you're, say, not doing support companies or planes or tanks or whatever, you can start doing tech ahead of time, and I will often end up with like Guns 3 in 1940. And if you have like just infantry weapons 3 much earlier than your enemy, and stack all these thematic bonuses, like research all the infantry stuff, and if you're only using infantry, then your infantry becomes much more powerful than your enemy's infantry. At this point, if you just have pure infantry, I'm repeating infantry quite a lot, and your enemy has support and artillery and all that, your army can be equivalent in strength to that, just because you've stacked all these bonuses. And that's how I actually manage to win battles with just pure infantry without support companies oftentimes. Of course, they're better if you also add support companies, but you can't always afford that. Sometimes you have 3 research slots and all of this. Now, if you, on top of that, you stack a company that will give you bonuses to said infantry equipment, then you can really, really specialize quite a lot. And I think that's gonna make specialization even more powerful. Of course, there's people who will just use it for tanks, and I am under no illusion like someone like Dankus can easily defeat me with their tanks and microwing. But that's just not my area of expertise. However, I like customization and I like player choice, player freedom. A small segue, one of my favorite DLCs is Death or Dishonor, not because of its depth or whatever, but because it just gives a lot of player freedom and player choice. And in opposition to that, you have something like the one for Turkey, what was Battle for Bosphorus, which I didn't enjoy that much, or the one for the British puppets, where you have a bunch of restrictions. I don't
Together
think
for
adding,
victory,
yeah,
or was it different? No, they.
maybe, I don't remember. It's been a while back. So everything that gives you more player choice and player freedom, I like, and it sounds like something that would give player freedom.
Well, I'm I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you what's coming out next week, but it'll be more player freedom. I'll tell you that much. I like
Well,
what they're coming
I
out.
need to ask some people.
Oh, just I'll live stream the dev diary. I'm starting to live stream all the big dev diaries. Um, so if you subscribe, you'll see it come
All
up.
right.
But yeah, so you back to the player freedom thing. I'm interested. Did you like the way they changed the air wing size? I feel like the community did not.
Air wings. Oh, you mean like you can only get like 100 planes in an air wing?
Mm-hmm.
This?
Yep.
Honestly, I don't really care about it this much, because it doesn't really make a difference for me if I have 1,000 plane air wing or 10 100 plane air wings. It's I mean, sure, you can have your preference, but for me it's a rather minor thing. I do like the new plane designer. Well, it's not new anymore, but I do like the plane design. I played around with it a bit. It changed quite a lot with air management. So when I do air, I kind of like picking what I do with the planes. As for the air wings, don't really care either way.
Well, you're not a micro guy, so in my view, like
No.
it's easier if they're all 100 because the airports are all 100, so you just move them around. So I liked it. I've only heard negative things about it, but it's neutral for you. That's good. What is your fighter build? Just out of curiosity. I know I'm putting you on the
Uh,
spot, but are you
no,
a
no,
heavy
I actually
machine
remember
gun?
because I did work on that with Feedback a while back, because he did this contest with where all the YouTubers he reached out to gave their own designs of fighters, and he then pitted those against each other, depending on, you know, production cost and all that. I was pretty successful in that. I think I was like second or third place. My go-to fighter design would be a light airframe as advanced as you can get at the moment, kitted
Yeah.
out to the maximum with machine guns, I think heavy machine guns,
Yeah.
and then self-sealing tanks, fuel tanks. The best single engine you can put on it. And then I think I put armor.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I think I maxed them out with armor. do that. It's very cheap, and it performs quite well. You can produce a lot of them if you're not using cannons and more expensive stuff. And one mistake I did with the feedback contest, I thought at the time that speed didn't really matter in combat, so I put a cheaper engine on it because it could still carry all the stuff.
Yeah.
But now I know it was a mistake, so yeah, the best engine you can put on a single one, then max heavy machine guns, self-sealing fuel tanks, and max armor. That's what I put.
Well, they rebalanced it several times since that video came out. Like, who's talking? Bitter saw that
Feedback was
video.
doing it.
Right? Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Bitter was telling me about that video. I would say that you are correct in the meta. I believe my meta is for the advanced frame, all heavy machine guns with one. I think it's a single or dual cannon. Just to upgun
Like
it
a
more.
cannon or cannon turret?
Cannon. So it would be
You
the
mean cannon
on the top.
main armament.
Correct.
Okay.
And then yes, you would need self-sealing would be best with the armor. So yeah, I think depending on the exact way that you put that together, if you added a cannon just to make it a legit build, like just add as much attack, I think that you should have won that then, in my opinion. But I mean that was a previous meta that video was in, but yeah, you get as much attack as you can.
I lost before because I mean I made some calculations like how many I can fit in a certain amount of production and all that. My mistake was that I put a level 2 engine, I think, only because that's all that was needed, and I was under the impression that speed didn't really matter at the time. So yeah, the design still works. I should probably experiment with cannons. I don't often do air. I only do stuff like Air Force if I have a lot of production. And the way I play, I don't usually have a lot of production. Like, oftentimes I will conquer my enemy before I research the proper, advanced aerial stuff. In multiplayer it's different, of course, but I don't really play multiplayer.
Yeah, if you want a micro, you got to have the green air to have speed on your divisions and move them around for sure.
Yeah, air matters a lot, but usually I think it's something you do after you have enough guns for your people. And I usually don't even have enough guns for my people, which might be my mistake, but it works somehow. So
no, it makes it like no air is a thing for sure, and it used to be a thing in multiplayer. I don't think it's someone in the comments could tell me if Soviet Union still goes nowhere, but I think they changed the advisors around. So I'm not quite sure about that anymore, but when the DLC first came out, what was it, By Blood Alone? If you put up to like say 2K fighters against 2K fighters, it wouldn't trade. Nothing would happen. I didn't know if you knew about that one, but they've since patched it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I heard.
You could still get an air wing size up. Like if you went 10K against 10K, which is very unrealistic. I don't know if they trade still, but they did some things to rebalance that. But that could be one reason why no air would be beneficial if what you're putting up doesn't even work. But yeah, I went with experimenting with biplanes, just putting up cheap planes, and was only viable for AI games because of the air wouldn't trade after you got so many of them up in the air. But I was going along the path with you, a cheaper aircraft that was upgunned with no speed on it. So I went the same path as you in terms of in the beginning.
Did it work?
Yeah, and I got I got a lot of negative comments about it. I was like, I thought I thoroughly demonstrated this, but I don't know. Like, I get the feeling that you spend quite a long time, like, this is your main profession. For me, I'm more of an enthusiast. I'm not to like your level to where you're a professional, in my opinion. And I really respect
Well,
it.
thank you, but I'm not. Oh, okay, go on.
No, go ahead.
Thank you for saying that, but I don't actually pay that much attention to stuff like multiplayer metas. As I said multiple times, I'm not a multiplayer guy, so I'm just trying to do stuff that's either something that's fun for me or something that people really want to see. And I know viewers might want to see me micro tanks, but that's just not something I am, mm, let's say, enthusiastic about and also proficient in. I could learn it, but I don't want to. I might do it in the future. Like I learned to do the Air Force a bit and the Navy, but I really just prefer the what some people don't realize is, well, maybe don't realize, what some people don't accept is that Hearts of Iron is not just a combat and a fighting game. It's also about the politics and the world, uh, the manipulation of other countries to get them into specific wars. And that's actually the side of the game that I enjoy. So I think there's enough different ways to play for everyone to find something.
Well, I think that is a good place to end off here. I would. This is going to be embarrassing. I'm going to put you on the spot again. I feel like I'm putting you on the spot a lot, and I apologize. But could you sing us something? Because you have a great singing voice.
Two things. I don't actually have such a great voice. I am not trained in music. I take breaths at the wrong times. That's one. Number two is my throat is a little sore right now from all the talking. And, okay, just give me a moment. I need to have a drink of water. And you're probably referring to the video in which I sang Katyusha on the channel.
No, it was way before that, but I gotta check that one out too.
Oh, before that, so what are you referring to?
I saw your videos probably from 3 or 4 years ago with channel updates, where you do show your face, and you talked about D&D and singing, and you sang, and I loved it. I gotta say, like, I I really like your singing voice.
Oh, all right. Yes, you are definitely putting me on the spot. Just
I'm sorry,
give me a moment to
dude.
think about something.
Oh man, I
Let me think of something I could. Uh, let me think of something I could sing. I've sung some Russian songs. I don't really want to do that right now. Polish. Maybe something Polish.
absolutely. I put Taureor on my podcast and then I pissed him off. That'll be the title of this video. Just kidding.
I'm not angry. I just. I don't know what I could sing.
What do
All right. So to get something appropriate, once again, I'm not a singer. I'm not trained in singing. I don't think I'm very good at this, and I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes. Oh, all right. So, what would be appropriate for Hearts of Iron? I'm thinking probably a little bit. I'm not going to sing a whole song. My throat is sore, but probably a war song. Something like, not a war song like, yeah, let's fight. They're more melancholic, and there's a lot of them in Polish culture. I'm gonna try one, and let's see if it's terrible or just bad. O mój rozmarynie, rozwijaj się. O mój rozmarynie, rozwijaj się. Pójdę do dziewczyny, pójdę do jedynej. Zapytam się. Pójdę do dziewczyny, pójdę do jedynej. Zapytam się. A jak mi odpowie, nie kocham cię. A jak mi odpowie, nie kocham cię. Żołnierze werbują, strzelcy maszerują, zaciągnę się. Żołnierze werbują, strzelcy maszerują, zaciągnę się. Dadzą mi konika cisawego, dadzą mi konika cisawego i ostrą szabelkę do boku mego. I ostrą szabelkę do boku mego. It's a part. Yeah, I know it was terrible. It's
No, that was great. That was a great job, man.
Until someone who knows the song actually hears it. Right, I probably made several mistakes and I shouldn't have done that. However, it's a Polish song about going to war. If you want a brief translation, it's I'm going to the girl I love and ask her. If she says I don't love you, I'm going to enlist and go to war. Stuff like that. It's more than this, but right. I had some other songs to choose from. I'm not going to sing more, but I can talk about them. One was Be Bolshevika, which is, say, beat up the Bolshevik, right? Another one is, there's another song that my great-grandmother actually sang to me when I was a little kid. And it's My ze spalonych wsi. I'm just gonna say the lyrics rather than sing, because I don't remember the melody. My ze spalonych wsi, my z głodujących miast, za śmierć, za krew, za lata łez, już zemsty nadszedł czas. Więc zarepetuj broń i w serce wroga mierz. I don't remember the rest. But it translates to: we of the burnt down villages, we of the starving cities, for blood, for death, for years of tears, the time of vengeance has come. So reload your gun and aim at the enemy's heart. And to reiterate, it's a song my grandmother sang to me, great-grandmother, when I was in the crib, like a little kid, like a like a toddler.
Wow.
So, yeah, here's an anecdote for you to wipe the slate clean after my not-so-great singing.
No, great singing, great story, awesome culture. I love those the cultural references, and the baby Taureor story is awesome. Thank you so much. You are the original gangster of Hearts of Iron 4. I am honored to have you as a podcast guest. This was absolutely amazing. Come back anytime. Thank you so much, Taureor.
Thank you very much, ESG. I will definitely subscribe to you and watch that Dev Diary thing, because I don't want to read a Dev Diary. I'd rather listen to it. And what else? Well, I will make sure to learn the lyrics of a song if I am to come on ever again. Oh, I probably should have done a different one. I should have done Płonie ognisko i szumią knieje. That's much more... That's more recognizable and more upbeat. But thank you for having me on the podcast, and I imagine you're going to have a lot of cutting to do now with all the ums that I've been doing. Have a nice... oh, right, it's a different time zone. Have a nice day.
All right, you have a good night. I know it's late, and you did great, man. All right, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one.